And welcome once more to the big match. Today we bring you plenty more action, and we say welcome back once more to our old friend from the ITV World Cup panel, Bob McNabb of Arsenal. I just hope that he gets a word in edgeways at some point today. Well, again, we have action for you from 3 of yesterday's games, and our main match is a stirring London derby between Chelsea and Arsenal at Stamford Bridge.
Ground, and as well for him that Dempsey was right back as well. George Graham with a shot. Down goes Benetti.
Goal highlights from Sheffield Wednesday against Blackburn.
Sinclair. Oh, Sissons, what a miss!
And Swindon against Sunderland.
So many big clubs. Rogers, Noble.
And at Swindon also, they had this remarkable piece of action as a little bonus.
McGiven, the touch. There's Stewart, and he hit the bar. And there go the goalposts. The tiniest fellow on the field, little Bobby Kerr.
And it took quite a while to get that game at Swindon going again. Well, that Chelsea match that I spoke about was a tough one. And we should be looking, with Jimmy Hill, at a series of fouls that left, I thought, a bad mark on this game. Of course, we shall also be looking at some of your letters, as we promised in the programme last Sunday, and some good ones too. But now let's get on with the action, and for that we go to Stamford Bridge for Chelsea against Arsenal. A derby game between London's two unbeaten clubs, two successful sides, both of whom won trophies last season. But Chelsea, for whom Peter Osgood is about to have a controversial game, are able to field a much more settled side. This, in fact, is the one that drew with Everton in midweek. Arsenal are hit by injuries and they're filled with defensive players, none better than our guest today, Bob McNabb. A side missing strikers like Radford, Samuels and George, and defender Peter Simpson as well. But in Frank McClintock, they have an inspiring skipper, and today, for a change, we want to show you what captaincy is all about. Here he is going around all the young players around him, giving them a word of advice and a word of encouragement. He's had one with Ray Kennedy, he's had one with Eddie Kelly. In a moment, he'll do the same with young John Roberts as well. McClintock, who really has got this Arsenal side moving, and it's moments like this that make the difference possibly between winning and losing. He's going to make sure that these players go into the game in the right frame of mind. A 53,000 crowd, biggest of the day, now waiting for the kickoff.
So Chelsea, all in blue, get us away, defending that goal to our left against an Arsenal side bristling with defenders. 4 fullbacks, no less, in this lineup. Rice, McNabb, Story in the number 8 shirt, and Sammy Nelson in the number 9, with Radford out of the side. Here's Weller for Chelsea. Both sides unbeaten this season, London's 2 most successful sides in these opening first few weeks. Bob Wilson, the Arsenal goalkeeper here, number 1. And a push in the back by Dempsey on George Graham. John Dempsey, who came up and scored one of the goals against Everton on Wednesday night. And it's John Roberts with the free kick for Arsenal. Headed away the game by Dempsey, beating Kennedy in the air. Houseman. Certainly Chelsea you would expect to make most of the running this afternoon, with Arsenal so crippled by injury and fielding so many defensive players. The onus really is much more on Chelsea. Here's Weller to Mulligan. Hollins, and a poor pass there from Hollins, easily read by McNabb, and now McNabb, having rather committed himself, and supported though by George Graham. McNabb going in hard and failing. Now Hudson. Doing well in a little, very limited space, and going in hard there was Osgood, with that ball bouncing just ahead of Wilson. Made it difficult for him to gather. Kelly and Graham, but straight to Hudson, and now Hollins to Weller for Chelsea. Hudson has gone on very well, but he's found Story with him, and down goes Hudson. Hacked away a little bit there by Story, letting him certainly know that he was there with Story. But it's Chelsea's kick, and Hollins with it towards Dempsey. Oh, and he's lost it as Wilson. And a corner? No, a free kick given against Chelsea. Kennedy. Rice making a great advance down the right. George Graham back in midfield. And Armstrong, but too high for Armstrong. And Mulligan for Chelsea. To Weller. Weller a little too slow. And Hudson finding Dempsey, finding Bonetti. Strange how a back pass at the other end was booed. This end is cheered. Osgood. Weller. Mulligan. And McNabb for Arsenal. Nelson to Graham. And Hollins putting that obligingly into the path there of Sammy Nelson. Hollins desperately trying to make ground, and as well for him that Dempsey was right back as well. George Graham with a shot. Down goes Bonetti. Good work there by Bonetti. Right along the ground, just going inside that post. And Bonetti was down brilliantly from George Graham. Very nearly the first goal of the match to Arsenal, but now it's a corner for them and Eddie Kelly to take it. Kennedy on the goal line. Roberts has gone up. Graham, and is coming through to Armstrong. Story going in, and Rice there as well. And now Kelly to put it back again. Roberts beaten there fractionally though by Weller, and that was enough. And a throw to Arsenal. Hollins to Weller, and Hollins has gone on, the man who loves to make these breaks, and down he's pulled there by Nelson. There's Nelson, obviously realising he had to do something, but another yard to his left and that would have been inside the penalty area. And a free kick then to Chelsea. Two men in the wall only. And Hollins with a little dipper flicked on though by Kelly. And now Dempsey, oh, having a shot there charged down, which would have had Wilson unsided, charged down by George Graham. Harris to Hudson. And Hutchinson, can he turn on it? But he gets a corner. So Arsenal now under a bit of pressure, as you get the feeling that Chelsea realise that they must take the initiative. They've got to come forward with a great deal of resolve and a great deal of initiative. Dempsey, of course, is staying right up there. There he is, number 5. Hutchinson, the number 10, and Osgood, the number 9. 3 big men for Alan Hudson to aim for. Hutchinson, quite clearly, they're saying, give it to me in the air. And Wilson, I would have thought, must have been impeded there by Peter Osgood. Took a knock as well. Goalkeeper stock in trade, I would have thought, to take those sort of knocks. And Bob, of course, well realises that from those situations, when the elbows and the heads and the bodies are flying. But he wouldn't want a black eye for television. And Dempsey this time penalised. And now Eddie Kelly. But nobody there from Arsenal. Hollins for Chelsea, finding Weller. Hutchinson and Weller. But nobody up with him. Weller's really got to go it alone. 2, 4, 6, 7 Arsenal defenders back. And Weller entirely on his own. And that really is very much the pattern of things so far this afternoon, as Kennedy now looks for something in attack for Arsenal. George Armstrong to George Graham. Sammy Nelson. And Graham, in fact, was clipped there from behind by Weller, but Arsenal still in possession. Bob McNabb. McClintock. And now to Rice. Nodded on very nicely there by Kennedy, but Graham couldn't get in quickly enough on it. Hollins, but straight to Nelson. McClintock. And George Armstrong. Nelson. Played for Armstrong. Hudson watching him. Nelson again with space enough to cross this ball now. Armstrong looking for it. The ball comes through to McNabb with a shot. Oh, and Vanetti capping that at the second goal from Bob McNabb, who crept in almost unnoticed. So Arsenal, for all their defence, have had the two real worthwhile shots of the game so far. The second of them from Bob McNabb, the first one, of course, from George Graham. And John Dempsey trying to steal a yard or two and being stopped by referee David Smith. John Dempsey with the free kick for Chelsea. Frank McClintock. To Peter Storey. George Graham. To Eddie Kelly. And now to Sammy Nelson. Kelly. Kennedy going in on this one. He's got Dempsey right with him, and Graham never really got hold of that, but it's in, and Armstrong is there with it, with chance enough to cross it as well. Now Houseman for Chelsea. To Osgood. Weller. And now Hudson. Hutchinson making a run towards the near post. Osgood towards the far post. Here's Hutchinson and Roberts there first. Harris. And Weller. Oh, trying to play a 1-2 there. Now Osgood. Still Osgood. Oh, just past. From Osgood. For a fraction of a second, he must have seen his first goal of the season coming up. Good control in a tight situation on the edge of the penalty area, and a fraction too wide as Wilson really flung himself across his goal. Storey. To Hinton. And now Harris. Hollins has gone off on another break, and Nelson's gone with him. Hollins! Good work by Hollins! Oh, against the post! Can he do it? He can! John Hollins! Oh, what a beautiful goal! That is what you call an individual goal.
All credit to Ron Harris for the accuracy of this pass down the wing, but it's number 4, John Hollins, who scores it. He's in the centre circle, and there he goes on his run, streaking down towards the opponent's penalty area. And just watch how he catches it on his thigh. Remember, he's running at sprint pace with Nelson herring after him. It's at this point that Wilson decides to come out, maybe too hurriedly, and gives him the chance to lob it over his head. But it hits the crossbar and bounces back. With all the enthusiasm in the world, John Hollins scampers after it, turns. 9 out of 10 players, I reckon, would hit it over the bar from that position, but not him. Right in the centre of the goal, off the meat of the boot. A really wonderful individual goal.
Now, when you hear people talk of individual efforts, that was it. He made all the running, and then when the bad luck struck him, he made the running again. So now Arsenal really have got to come out and do something, although in all honesty, the nearest to a goal before Hollins came strictly from Arsenal. I think Kennedy with his feet a little too high there. Hutchinson labouring a little bit. He's taken 1 or 2 knocks, and Houseman offside. Again, you can see the perspiration there on Hutchinson's face as the whistle goes for half-time. And the end of 45 minutes for Chelsea, really battering against a brick wall. And finally they found a way through with this man, John Hollins, with his goal just 5 minutes before half-time. So the score at Stamford Bridge at half-time is Chelsea 1, Arsenal 0. We'll be back with more soccer for you in just a couple of minutes from now. So Arsenal then get the second half going. The initiative, I would have thought, must be with Chelsea at the moment, in spite of some superb leadership by Frank McClintock for Arsenal. There's Nelson trying to find Kennedy, but Mulligan to Hollins for Chelsea. Weller. Arsenal's throw. Well, they say there's a new spirit at Highbury, in many ways fostered by Bertie Mee, the man on the right of that picture, the Arsenal manager, and certainly carried onto the field by McClintock. Mulligan off his knee. Kelly fighting hard for that ball. Hutchinson still with him. Eddie Kelly, real little battler, the man, of course, who scored the first goal in that first Cup final at Highbury that put Arsenal on the way to that wonderful trophy. And there's Kelly again. Pat Rice. Kennedy going in. George Graham laying it off there for Nelson. Nelson going past Mulligan. Can he turn this one back for Armstrong? There's Kennedy there. And George Graham, and it wouldn't go through to Graham. And Hollins gets there first. Kennedy, in fact, taking just a little too long to get his position right. McNabb to George Graham. And a goal kick. Well, Arsenal, when they do come forward, there aren't many men coming forward for them, but they're causing all sorts of little pinpricks in this Chelsea defence. Peter Bonetti with the goal kick. Hutchinson winning it in the air and winning it well to find Osgood. Osgood turning that on beautifully, though, for Weller. Weller versus McClintock. McClintock is down, but not out. Armstrong, good play here by Arsenal to Nelson. Sweeping it across field to Story, and Rice really battling down that right now to take it from Story. Harris, oh, and Harris only had to turn that inside to Houseman, and a beautiful gap would have opened up there for Peter Houseman. Chelsea's throw, and Ron Harris with it. A welcome piece of shade down this side of the field. McClintock to Story. George Graham. In fact, he must have been pushed from the back by Dempsey. David Smith having a word with George Armstrong, and Armstrong now taking the kick for Arsenal. Graham going in on it! Very close indeed, one of those again towards the near post, where the attacker needs to be just an inch or so ahead of a defender to make it very difficult for the defence. But Graham couldn't quite turn it back enough. Roberts giving Hutchinson a push in the back. And Chelsea, as soon as that whistle's gone for the free kick, are away again as Harris looks for Houseman, and Rice should get there first. And a free kick given against Peter Houseman. And Rice to Wilson. Kennedy swooping to get to that one. Armstrong to Nelson. No, still in play, says the linesman. So it's George Armstrong. Kennedy looking for this one as well. And number 4, Kelly! Over the line! Oh, a goal by Kelly! Out of the blue!
There was a suspicion of that ball being out of play, but just let's look now and see as it's controlled on the line there by Nelson. The whole of the ball, remember, has got to be over the line, and I think quite clearly you can see that it's remained in play. He slips it inside now to Armstrong, and a floated cross into the middle there. And now you can see how Kelly steals in between the two Chelsea defenders. I think Harris was expecting Graham to head it. And notice the power of this header, because although Bonetti's in a good position, he can't get his arms up to react. There's Bonetti, the ball over his head, and he reacts too late. But you can understand Kelly reacting in that manner.
So 6 minutes of the second half gone, and Arsenal showing tremendous spirit of drawn level. You can't say too much about McClintock and the way that he has kept his men going. So much of it down to him. Collins. And now Rice. Armstrong, and now Kennedy, and Dempsey back to Bonetti. Now Hudson for Chelsea. Collins, Hutchinson, Osgood, and McNabb picking that up nicely. Chance for another break for Arsenal. Armstrong, Graham. Armstrong again, Kennedy making a run for it, and Bonetti getting there a fraction first. Houseman, and Osgood. To Hollins, to Mulligan. Hudson again. A little one there that looks for Hutchinson with his head. And Hutchinson, in fact, who's got a bandage around his leg. That must have been done at half-time, the bandage put on, that injury in the first half, cutting down his mobility. Harris with a throw. McClintock, suspiciously like handball, but David Smith was right in line. Another throw now to Arsenal. Eddie Kelly to George Graham. A bit of pushing and shoving going on there between Story and Harris. Two of the strong men of football. And then Hutchinson, in fact, has gone off the field. And Cook is coming on. There goes Hutchinson away. And Arsenal going away as well. Dempsey to get it off. Cook waiting to come on. Flick there towards Kennedy. And Weller now to pick it up for Chelsea. Houseman, and the ball in touch, which will probably be the chance for Cook to come on. To the delight of the Chelsea fans, no disrespect to Ian Hutchinson, but this man really has got a special place in the hearts of Chelsea fans. Charlie Cook. Now the referee and linesman deciding whose throw it is, I should think. And they've decided that, in fact, that it's Arsenal's throw, and Bob McNabb with it. Dempsey, McNabb, Weller, and Weller beating McNabb very well indeed, very skillfully, with a good deal of determination as well, but a poor pass. John Roberts. Cook really diving in left, right and centre there, obviously eager to get into this game. Now Hollins, Houseman, with Harris going up outside him. So Kelly takes Houseman and Story's gone for Harris. And the ball falls to Rice. Now Story. Kennedy. But Hudson. Osgood. McClintock taking a buffeting there in the chin. And McClintock and Osgood getting stuck into each other. Right under the eyes of the referee. And the book is out. The book is out for the name of Peter Osgood to go into it. And it looks as though McClintock also is going in. Well, there's Osgood's name anyhow. Well, it looks as though McClintock is in as well. So Peter Osgood and Frank McClintock in the game that really never has looked as though it's going to erupt has now ended with two guys having their names taken, and they're still going on. And now Harris and Houseman off down the left, keeping it in, but Rice is with him, and I don't think the referee can allow that, so it's got to be a free kick to Arsenal. Dempsey and Kennedy going for that one. Harris to get it away as far as Cook. McClintock versus Osgood again, and McClintock hasn't lost much to Osgood this afternoon. Here's McClintock again. Cookie chasing everything. Oh, and going into Rice well after that ball had gone. And McClintock is furious with Cook, and I wouldn't think the referee would be very happy either. Of course, it's been frustrating for Chelsea. We know that in attack, with so many Arsenal men funneling back whenever there's the slightest hint of danger. But against that, you've again got to repeat that Arsenal, if anything, have made more chances this afternoon than Chelsea have made. Cook really charging in like a bull almost, and McClintock absolutely furious with him. And Cook being sternly spoken to there by referee David Smith. I should think so as well. And in goes Cook's name into that book, and really he can have no complaints. He's charging about there like an enraged bull on one Arsenal player after the other, and you just can't do that sort of thing. Well, it's been a tough afternoon for Frank McClintock, I must say, with Cook and with Osgood. Thought for a moment that was a bandage. But no, just to keep his socks up. And Pat Rice with the kick. Hudson. Running himself into a fair bit of trouble again. And Chelsea's throw. Well, they've got a little over 5 minutes left now, Chelsea, to make something of this home advantage, and the fact that Arsenal are badly weakened by injuries. Cook. Still 1-1. Osgood. Mulligan in a lot of space down the right, and a good pass there from Osgood to Mulligan. And there it is by Mulligan! Paddy Mulligan!
Well, that goal came directly from this throw-in without Chelsea losing the ball. There's Charlie Cook picking it up now. He finds Peter Osgood, who shows us what a football brain he has. As he cuts across the field, watch the way he curves this ball right into the space on the far side, almost tempting McNabb to go for it, but giving Mulligan a wonderful chance to streak past him, which he does beautifully. There's the left foot shot. Once again, Wilson's left stranded with no one to help him. And as a result of it, what a lovely smile.
Well, it's put Chelsea ahead with something like 5 minutes to go. Harris away. And although the tackling has been strong and Arsenal have looked a lot to defence, I would have thought that Arsenal, with their courage alone, deserve to get something out of this game. Well, they'll really have to fight for it now. McNabb to Roberts. An offside given against, I can't think who, but the linesman was really flagging there. But the referee has said it's a goal kick. Well, John Hollins, who put Chelsea ahead, must be well pleased to see that they're ahead again. Hudson. Nobody for the deep cross at all. 2, 4, 6, 7 Arsenal men are back, and if Cook crosses it, Osgood now gone into a position. That's why he had to delay. Now Houseman. Hollins with Harris outside him. Here's Harris. Now can he beat Rice? He's got it across, but not far enough for Osgood. But Cook to Osgood again, a little slow there off the mark, Peter Osgood, and McNabb back to Wilson. Harris. Oh, and a bad tackle there by Story on Hollins. A free kick to Chelsea. That was a bad tackle by Peter Story. It's been a tough afternoon, though, for people. There's no question about that. When they've been coming forward, they've been stopped at all costs. And here's Cook again for Chelsea. Oh, beautiful skills there at the far post, and Roberts putting it away. Beautiful skills there by the byline from Charlie Cook, who made space for himself where none seemed to exist. Beautiful play by Cook, and if Roberts hadn't been there to nod it away, then Osgood most certainly would have been there to nod it in. Number 9 Osgood, 12 Charlie Cook. Here's the corner coming up now from Peter Houseman. Osgood poised to leap, and Wilson also. George Graham to Peter Story. Armstrong losing it to Hollins, and so it's Harris. Houseman's gone through the middle, perfectly onside. Now what can he do? Arsenal are miles behind him. He's turned it in, and too far for Wellard. Perhaps kicking himself now that he didn't take on Wilson as well and try to make it number 3. Hudson, and now Cook, and he is offside. That's perhaps what Houseman should have done, but he's offside. Oh, and then he didn't get it in. Last desperate throw by Arsenal. It's got to be now, and in fact that looks to me as though that's the whistle. Sounds like it, and it is the final whistle here at Stamford Bridge. A tough derby game, which John Hollins gave Chelsea the lead. There's the number 4 Eddie Kelly, the 2 number 4s. Kelly, who made it 1-1, and then Paddy Mulligan, the number 2, for Chelsea, who gave Chelsea that victory. There he is, so close to the end. So the final score then at Stamford Bridge this afternoon is Chelsea 2, Arsenal 1.
And Frank McClintock, in a World of Sport interview afterwards, said that he thought that Arsenal were worth a point there yesterday. And the point that he made, in fact, was that Chelsea's winner was the only shot that they had in the second half. Now, there was a lot about that game that I didn't enjoy very much, and we're going to look at some of the fouls in just a couple of minutes. But now, let's meet our special guest today, Bob McNabb of Arsenal, with him, Jimmy Hill.
Bob, first of all, may I say how pleasant it is to see you in the Big Match studio, with your differences with Arsenal settled. And I can promise you that Big Mal, the Docker's Power, is not here, and that you will get a word in edgeways. But before that, before we do hear all those words of wisdom from you, I do want to talk about the fouls that took place in this game yesterday, because although it wasn't the dirtiest game I've ever seen by any means, I reckoned it was a more niggly game than it need have been. Early on, there was nothing much. Here's one of the early fouls. Chelsea are playing it a bit tight on the left-hand side of the field there, and there's Alan Hudson gets the ball now. That tackle, that type of challenging, you've got to do that in a derby match, and one accepts it. But as it went on, players began more and more, I thought, to go for the man rather than the ball. That jumper Frank McClintock's there with his elbow in Weller's back, I think he went through the man knowing that he wasn't going to get the ball. Now watch here, here's another one. This time as the ball's laid back, I reckon that this tackle was needlessly on the man and not the ball. And strangely enough, this one on the right wing with Weller, he evades that man. There's Roberts. Was that for the man or was it for the ball? I know what I think about it. But when the two men got their names taken, I reckon it was much ado about nothing. There's a bit of a schmozzle. Nobody's really kicked anybody there. They're both going for the ball, and even that was on the grass. But they kidded the referee and kidded themselves. They were angry, and both ended up in the book. But Charlie Cook, who'd been sitting watching all this, and I think at this point of the game, Arsenal were more guilty, shall we say, or they committed more fouls than Chelsea, seemed determined to even it up when he came on the pitch. Perhaps he got worked up on the substitute bench. There's foul number 1 for Cook, with the arm, stopping the man, getting by him. It destroys the flow of the game. And here's the second series. That's a firm tackle by Story, and he goes for one man, and again continues past the ball to bring the man down. And then the incident for which he got his name taken, 2 quick fouls, one with the left foot and one with the right foot, rather high, and of course, without any doubt, he's going to end up in the referee's notebook. One almost thought that he came on with that intention in his mind. Now, I'm not in a red shirt, Bob, neither am I in a blue one, but I sat among a lot of fans who thought the game was spoiled and was needlessly bad-tempered, and they didn't enjoy it as much. What do you say to that as a professional footballer?
Well, personally, Jim, I didn't think it was a really dirty game, but I think there was 1 or 2 needless fouls, you know, really. You know, I think the tension a little bit got to 1 or 2 of them, you know, there was a few extra fouls, you know, it didn't do anything at all. It just spoilt the game, I agree, to a certain extent, but you didn't see many of Chelsea's fouls on there, did you?
Well, I thought I sort of showed
They
a few
did foul, you know, now
Cook.
and again.
But I think if I can, I want to keep it away from one club or the other. I'm just thinking about the effect on the game. 53,000 people came there yesterday to enjoy a game of football. We've seen cracking games of football this year, and I think that was the first one where, you know, maybe it looked like boiling over.
Well, watching it there, Jimmy, I didn't realise it was so bad. You know, Frank and Ozzy were having a little bit of a niggle, but I didn't think it was anything really. You know, usual just niggling really. But when you see it there on the television, you know, I didn't think the incident was worthy of a booking for either of them, really. You know. No. Certainly not Frank. He didn't seem to do anything.
An Arsenal player could never do anything, could he?
Well, not really.
Anyway, Bob, we've got this, strangely enough, I mean, we were going to do a montage of your most successful tackles and passes yesterday, but I mean, we didn't. We thought we'd embarrass you too much with that. But it did happen that although you had a pretty fair game, I thought you were involved in both the goals. First by John Hollins, of course.
Yeah, well, I'll probably have to do more talking now, Jimmy, to explain this away than I did in the 3 weeks of the World Cup.
Well, go on, keep explaining.
Well, the first one, I thought it was, when it hits the bar, John Hollins makes a brilliant run. He times it, great control. He flicks it. When it hit the bar, I thought it was going to bounce down, so I came in.
There you are, running in now.
Yeah, I thought it was going to bounce onto the line, but it bounced back, and then I slipped.
Staggering away, there you are.
I don't know what I tried to do. I thought if I get too tight to him now, he's going to lob it over me. The shape he was having to make trying to shoot. I thought all he could do was lob it, but he struck it perfect. It was a great shot, really. You know, I thought it was a brilliant goal, really, individually.
What do you reckon?
Brilliant.
Do you reckon he's talked his way out of that, or are we accepting he's made a mistake? I don't know.
Well, I did slip.
Let's give credit to John Hollins for what I
brilliant.
thought was one of the most marvellous stuff
Brilliant
I've
goal.
ever seen.
Brilliant.
I thought there was a lesson there in life. You know, so often people moan their bad luck. He could have claimed he had bad luck when that shot struck the bar, packed it in, stood with his hands on his hips. But he ran on and turned his luck. I think it's a good message to footballers, that generally.
Oh, full marks to him. You can't take that away from him. It was a
Yeah.
brilliant run from start to finish. His run through, if he'd have scored at first, when it hit the bar, it would have been a great goal, really.
Mm. What about the final goal? The very disappointing one from Arsenal's point of view, because you did fight hard yesterday for a point there and you got nothing.
Well, it was their only shot at the goal, like Frank said in the second half. In fact, you know, I couldn't see us losing, you know, it was ridiculous, really.
Here it's coming up now from the throw-in. It's that you don't get the ball back, actually. And Peter Osgood, who's lurking to the left of Charlie Cook here, there he is, seems to spot that space on the right wing and curls it round. That looked to me a brilliant pass. What do you think?
He missed it, to be quite honest. No, he did, actually. He tried to swerve it the other way.
What
but-
about Paddy
Oh,
Mulligan
he
coming
did
by
brilliant
here?
there.
Eh?
I tried to show him the line and make him go down the line, but he actually dummied a little bit. He made to go down the line and brought it back across me. If he'd have only brought it, say, a yard past me, I might have been able to recover, but he knocked it well past me. And so I had no chance. I was going one way and he went the other, you know. He did well. Full marks to the fella.
This is like witness for the prosecution here. You're always like sitting in the dock. Anyway, Arsenal with their reserves out yesterday, it was a spirited display. They made a good start to the season. When are they going to get their full side back?
Well, the three, Charlie, George, John Samuels and Peter Simpson, they could be about another, I wouldn't like to say, but they've still got the plasters on their legs, and Peter Simpson's got to be another 6 weeks. But I think, you know, you're saying these reserves, these lads are not looking like reserves, are they?
No,
They're
they play
playing
well.
brilliantly, these lads. You know, you can't take it away from them. These boys that have come in have been our best players in some of the games, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think it's affected your start to the season in a way, although they've done very well because there's no substitute for experience.
Well, if you put four better players into the side, which would be difficult, better players than they've taken out, it doesn't mean to say they'd improve the side, does it? Because you've lost your blend straight away. But
well, obviously, when you get them all back, you're going to be really a force to reckon with. We wish you luck for the First Division, which, you know, London wants to win with one of its clubs, and also to retain the Fairs Cup. Bob McNabb, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, it's good to see Bob getting a word in. Now let's have some more action. And our second match on the programme today is from the Second Division. Sheffield Wednesday, fresh down from the First Division against Blackburn Rovers, and that was at Hillsborough. The goal highlights now. The pictures come from Yorkshire Television. Commentators Keith Macklin. Wednesday are in the Arsenal-style shirts.
Offside trap being worked, but Knighton is there, the Wednesday. Backs came up, a good pass, there's a chance. Oh, what a beautiful goal. Eamon Rogers. Prophet, Tommy Craig. A good long ball. It may be too long for Sinclair. Billy Wilson of Blackburn Rovers, a local boy brought up through the junior ranks with Blackburn. Wilcoxon, Sinclair, finding War Boys in space. Prendergast a chance. It's there. Prendergast has equalised. Alan Hunter. Rogers. Knighton to Hill. Oh, that's good play. This leaves Conlon a space. And a deflection. Oh, my word, they were lucky. It hit the post. Sinclair. Downs. Downs charging that through and into the penalty area. Sinclair. Oh, Sissons! What a miss! Sissons with an absolute sitter.
Well, I'm sure Johnny Sissons, fresh from West Ham, would have liked to have hammered that one home to make it 2-1, but in fact it finished 1-1 there at Hillsborough. Now let's have a look at some of your letters, as we promised in the programme last week. And the first one concerns two Tottenham free kicks against West Ham at White Hart Lane on the opening day of the season that the match that we showed. And a very good point, in fact, from Mr. Gaston of Fareham in Hampshire. He says, I maintain that the attackers who line up with the defenders in front of the goalkeeper are offside when the kick is taken, as they do not have two defenders nearer the goal line. Well, Mr. Gaston, I think it's a very good point that you make. We're going to have a look at those two free kicks now. Remember, the basic point is that if there is a defender between that wall of West Ham players and the goalkeeper, as there most times are, then anyone in the wall would not be offside. But on that occasion, I must admit, there is nobody, it seems, between that West Ham wall and Grotier in the West Ham goal. And so a Spurs player, in fact, could well be offside. Although, look at Billy Bonds there in the centre of the picture. He might well be beyond that wall. But in fact, talking to Ron Greenwood afterwards about that, he said that he felt that that kick was given as offside. So perhaps the referee spotted something that we didn't spot. Here's the other kick. Remember, the basic thing always is there another defender between the wall and the goalkeeper? If there is, any player standing in that wall cannot be offside. But certainly they were two very well-worked free kicks by Spurs. A tremendous amount of training and practice obviously went into those at Cheshunt. A letter now from Mr. Haslam of Woodchurch near Ashford in Kent, a little village I know well. And he says, are we in for another season of referee baiting? But wait a moment, he said, one referee was actually praised and hopes were high until it was announced that the referee was an ex-professional footballer. And of course, dog doesn't eat dog. Well, I think that's a bit unfair on Jimmy Hill, who praised this referee. But Jimmy, your views on ex-professional footballers and their ability to be first-class referees?
Well, I don't see any reason why ex-professional footballers, or indeed ex-footballers of any kind, should be worse referees than those who haven't played the game. I don't think that only professionals can referee the game, but I do think it would be a good thing in football if professionals themselves started to get more interested in refereeing, so that we could supplement the already pretty strong cadre of referees that we have. That's my view.
Right, another letter now comes from John Jenkins of Erith in Belvedere, and one that was endorsed by a lot of West Ham supporters that I spoke to in the last couple of weeks. It concerns a Martin Chivers long throw, again on the opening day of the season, and we made quite a reference to them in the commentary. And in fact, the West Ham supporters say that they were foul throws. The point you've got to remember is a part of each foot shall be either on the line or on the ground outside the line. Now, if his foot is on the line, and a part of it is on the line there, that, according to the laws, is a fair throw. So there we are, Martin Chivers, in spite of what you West Ham fans might have felt, that was a fair throw. A part of the foot must be on the line or behind it, and both feet on the ground, of course. Right, we like to get your letters. If you'd like to send us a line on something that you like about the big match, something you don't like about it, or something you don't like about your club, or something that is wrong, right, or whatever, we like to hear from you. This is the address. The Big Match, London Weekend Television, Wembley in Middlesex. Next match on the programme today, one where the goalpost snapped. The one between Swindon in the second division against Sunderland, also fresh down from the first division like Sheffield Wednesday. The commentator is Hugh Johns. The pictures come from ATV, and Swindon are in the dark shirts.
Todd, I very nearly lost that. Timed it well. Oh, and a gift for Rogers. Rogers taking on Harvey and beat him by a mile. A little chip for Horsfield. That'll do. 15 minutes of the first half gone. And Don Rogers setting off on another foray on that Sunderland goal. Mike McGibbon bringing down Don Rogers. The man they say is the most talented footballer outside the first division. Chap who has excited the interest of so many big clubs. Rogers, no ball! By golly, that wasn't so very far wide. Haaland away for Horsfield. Horsfield getting in a lot of trouble there. Needs to lay it off to somebody. And all the way back to this fellow Downsborough. Jones back for Butler. Tony Goff. It's a good ball for Horsfield. Leaving it for Haaland. Trollope making the overlap run on the left. Saw him score a good goal from this angle against Watford last time we were here. It's a good cross ball for Noble, number 10. Good bit of goalkeeping too by Montgomery. Park. Looking for Billy Hughes, who couldn't control it. Another chap with fancy white footwear. Good touch, Horsfield for Rogers. It's a good ball for Jones. Rogers going hard for the return. Dragging Todd across to face him. It's a good cross ball, and there goes Goff. What a good goal! What a fine goal from little Tony Goff! Referee saying that the...
Two fine Swindon goals then, and in the second half, this incident happened.
The touch. There's Tuart, and he hit the bar. And there go the goalposts. The tiniest fellow on the field, little Bobby Kerr.
Well, they did repair it, and Swindon went on to win by 2-0. That's all from the big match today. Hope very much that you've enjoyed it again. I hope that our next date will be in On the Ball in World of Sport next Saturday lunchtime. We want to leave you with the last bit of action. It's from Bob McNabb, who said after this interview, well, if we have the luck that Chelsea have had, we're certainly going to win something. The moment when Bob McNabb nearly became a scorer yesterday.
Armstrong looking for it. The ball comes through to McNabb with a shot. Oh, and Benetti.